Matchday 9, the sort of quarter-way point of the season. Some teams need to start to get a move on if they want to stay relevant. Okay, Wolves? I mean, maybe this isn't the best week for that pep talk, having to go to the Amex and all that, but things have to change soon if they're going to change at all. Maybe I'll just watch Arsenal and Liverpool go at it instead. Full slate analysis today on Coffee with a Kick. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with a Kick. I'm Xander and that is Keegan, and we are here for Matchday 9 of the Premier League. We've got some tasty ones coming up this weekend, starting today, Friday. This is our first Friday match of the season, if I'm not incorrect. I'm not sure why this one's on Friday, but it is. Probably has something to do with the league, not the, what do they call it? The Carabao Cup. Is Carabao Cup next week or is it the FA Cup? Or are those the same thing? Which one's which?
I think it's still Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup?
Mode. I think FA Cup starts in January.
Gotcha.
December, January.
But that probably has something to do with the Friday match for our first contenders. Anything you want to say before we hop into that one here later today?
Yeah, I think you're right. This is, I think, opening weekend. Man U played on Friday, but since then, we haven't had a Friday match. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these teams, especially Nottingham, they played on Monday. So kind of a short week for them. So my prediction has a little bit to do with the lack of rest.
Well, then I guess we'll go ahead and, since you spoiled who it is, because no one knows, Leicester City hosts Nottingham Forest today on Friday. And as you've said, Nottingham Forest is only on a few days of rest. So what does that mean for you then? Now you teased it. Go ahead and spoil the tease? Fulfill the tease? What does that even mean?
It means that Leicester is going to continue their strong form, and they're going to win this one 2-1.
Oh, you're going for a
full I think
win.
Leicester's, they're moving into that, maturity that we talked about at the beginning of the season. They're showing that they look like players that have been here before. The stage isn't too big for them. So I think at home, they're going to start picking up some results that are favorable. So I got to go 2-1. I think Nottingham won't like the only 3 days rest.
I'm sure they won't. And, I've been trying to not be as mean to Nottingham Forest, and this will probably come back to bite me, but I have them drawing 2-2. It's pretty traditional that when I go back and trust a team that I haven't trusted, they betray my trust immediately. So that'll probably happen here with Nottingham Forest. But you know what? I put it in here as a 2-2. I'm going to stick with it. I won't let you dissuade me from my points play here, my units play, going for the biggest opportunity that I have here. Also, I just don't want either of these sides to win because I think I have them both getting relegated. Is that right? No. Did I have them both getting relegated? Where's that note? Where are those notes? If only I kept a more organized desk. I'll find it and follow up here momentarily. It's stapled together. Where is it? I say that and then I keep looking for it. Aha! See, I knew I had it here. Did I have them both being relegated?
I think you had Nottingham staying up.
I had Nottingham staying up. I did have Leicester getting relegated.
Yeah.
Did have Leicester getting relegated. So I should have them lose, but I don't trust Nottingham Forest to win, so I'll keep it as a draw. Then to another team that is on a they are performing well across the board in every competition in which they are a part. Aston Villa hosts Bournemouth. And I've got this one pretty neat and tidy for Aston Villa. I've got this as 2-0 for against Bournemouth. I know that I believe I know that they just played in the midweek. They won in the midweek pretty well, but we'll get to that in the next episode. But I think they can tidy it up here. They're still at home, 2-0 over Bournemouth. I think that's a reasonable result.
Yeah, I think they take the victory as well. I think Bournemouth gets a goal against them, so I think another 2-1 prediction for me.
Another 2-1 for you there. I'm just trying to check that I am accurate here before speaking out of turn. But I believe that... Didn't I read that? Hold on. Being so mysterious. Not stats. I wanted squad. That's what I wanted. For Yes, Tyler Adams, I think, did make his debut last week as a substitute. So I don't know if he's a substitute or did he actually play? He looks like he hasn't played yet, but I think he is back and available. So we'll see if he can actually get out on the pitch this week. Either way, I'm still going with an Aston Villa win, but that's an eye to keep an eye out for Tyler.
Tyler Adams is that big of a player
that big of a player. He was going to make a difference in this pick. No, I'm just saying we talked about him in the preseason that he moved to Bournemouth and he's been injured, so it could make a difference down the line for Bournemouth. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to say. But we will continue on from there to Brentford and Ipswich Town. Eventually one of my Ipswich Town picks is going to hit. I'm going to keep on riding here. Keep riding that pony. 2-1 Ipswich Town. Pretty clean, simple over Brentford. Probably a bad pick, but one of these times Ipswich Town is going to win.
Yeah, I think they'll get a win here soon. I don't know if it's going to be at Brentford. I think they typically play much better when they're at home. So I'm going to go 1-1. I do think they're going to play well and get a point. I don't think they're going to get the victory, though.
Don't think they're going to get the victory. Listen, it's not. I mean, this next one I think would be the Southampton one would be the biggest shock, obviously, because just look at those units. It's crazy. But Brighton hosts my Wolves. I'll let you start on this one just to see if you give us any hope, because I don't.
Wolverhampton, again, we're talking about how they're supposed to be getting some victories here soon. Wolves have won just 3 of their last 20 away league games against Brighton. Not looking great. Brighton are trying to win 3 straight Premier League games since September of last year. It doesn't look great for Wolves. However, I think they take the victory 2-1.
Wow. What a
Brighton has
pick.
shown they can play defensively, but they haven't shown that attacking prowess that we're used to. And I think if Wolves get a goal early, they will get it and they will get the 3 points. Because Brighton just haven't seemed very strong offensively this season outside of a couple of games. So I think Wolves take it. I think it's a shock victory here.
It would be shocking, especially because I have them losing 3-1. They're at the Amex, and we'll be lucky. We're lucky to get a point anywhere. Even at home, we're lucky to get a point because we only have one. I'll repeat: we only have 1 point so far this season out of 8 tries. So it's not a great result, and I don't think that away at the Amex is going to be our first victory. We might squeeze a point out of it. I'm not confident, obviously, because I picked to go 3-1 to Brighton. But, Jurgen Strand-Larsen's starting to come on a little bit better. He's starting to produce actual goals. I think he has 2 in his last 2, if I'm not mistaken. We just need Kuhn to tighten it up a little bit because he did have some chances in the last one that he did not perform on. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't think so. Not today. Not Saturday. I don't think it's happening. And then we'll go to one where I know is not happening. Manchester City at the Emirates hosts Southampton. I think it's easy 4-1. Easy 4-1 victory.
Emirates. It's at the Etihad.
At the Etihad. Excuse me. This isn't Arsenal.
Get that vomit out of your mouth.
I'm sorry. Those
United Arab Emirates companies.
Yes. Those Emiratis, Etihad. It's all Middle Eastern rich oil money.
That is true. So City, a quick note of a record they've broken. They've gained 13 points from a losing position so far in the Premier League this season. That's more than any other side. It is actually the most points a team has earned from losing positions in their opening 8 matches ever in a Premier League season. So they're also on their longest unbeaten streak ever at 31 Premier League games. Wow. Their last loss was against Aston Villa last December. I think it's going to be 5-1. Yeah. City just smacked their Champions League opponent 5-0. That we'll talk about in our Champions League episode. Southampton, I'm not thinking they're much better than Sparta Praha. So I just don't see it going very well. I'm going to go 5-1.
I think it's a bigger unit spread here than it was for that one. Let's see. Oh, no. Sparta Praha was a 36. This one's just a 22 or 21-21. So this is technically, this is marginally tighter. But still, multiple goal victory I'm going with here. I might take City by 2.5. Would I take City by 2.5? I'm just going to take them by 1.5. Make the odds a little bit more reasonable. 2.5, it gets really, really sketchy for me. And my past couple weeks have not been particularly great across both the Champions League and the Premier League. So like my accounts aren't looking as hot as they were early in the season. But we'll move on from there to Everton and Fulham. Everton hosting Fulham there. For this one, it's a tight one. This is a tight one. I do have Fulham taking all three. I have them as a 1-0 victory over Everton. I know Everton's been looking better of late, but I think that Fulham is producing very well this season. I mean, they've had a rough stretch of it here, but they've also had a rough stretch of opponents, playing City and Aston Villa back to back. That's not a walk in the park. That ain't a picnic, So I think that they'll be able to rebound here against a beatable Everton side.
Yeah, Everton, all 8 of their points have come in the last 4 games, so they're on a bit of a stretch of momentum. I actually think they're going to take all 3 points at home. I think they win 2-1.
Wow.
I think Fulham, playing those big sides when you're a team like Fulham, can mess up your mojo. Mm-hmm. Losing 2 straight, you're not able to get into the flow of the games like you have been. So I think this will be kind of that buffer match where it's like trying to assert your dominance again, but you're not quite sure how to get back into the flow. I think it's 2-1. Everton, I'm going to go with form and give Everton 3 points.
I mean, form and home, that is a compelling coordination of factors for Everton, but I'm going against the grain, except for I am going with the favorites. Fulham is favorited at home, so it's not that much of a stretch.
Against the grain with the favorites.
I'm against the grain with the favorites. I mean, it's 2.63 though, man. I mean, come on, it's a pretty juicy favorite to take. Speaking of taking favorites, Chelsea hosts Newcastle, and Chelsea is the favorites. The question always comes down to Chelsea is, what sort of Chelsea are you going to get? Are you going to get one that's bad on defense and not good on anything else? Bad on defense and explosive on offense? Or that's a totally incomprehensible mix of talent? I don't know. I think they're going to win this one 4-2, though. That's what I think. So I'm going with the bad on defense but explosive offense.
Yeah, I think it'll be 2-2. I think a draw feels good about this one because both of these teams are pretty volatile when it comes to how they play. And frankly, I know there's going to be goals. I just don't think either team is good enough to get on the next foot and get the extra points here. So I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2 for Chelsea and Newcastle. And then I think this, was that the first Sunday match? No, where am I? That was the first Sunday match. The next Sunday match happened concurrently with this one and the next one we'll talk about. But this one is another bird fight. Got another bird fight here. Crystal Palace hosts Tottenham. I don't know which sort of derby this one is called. It's going to be called the London Bird Derby for me. I'm sure it has an official title, but this is the London Bird Derby. And you know what? I know that this is a terrible pick, okay? I recognize it going into it. But we've said that Crystal Palace is going to catch people at some point. That they're going to figure out their flipping offense and start getting goals. And I think it starts today. Well, Sunday. But still, it starts in this one here. And it's a goal-palooza, a 3-2 thrilling victory. I'll say come from behind victory for Crystal Palace to delight the home fans over them Tottenham Hotspur fellas.
I think this would be considered a
London Bird Fight. I think it's called the London Bird Fight.
Yeah. Because Crystal Palace is in South London and Tottenham is in West London, if I'm not mistaken. So the Southwest London Derby, perhaps? I don't know. But either way, Crystal Palace, again, have just been abhorrent on an offense. They haven't given up a ton of goals this entire year. I mean, like we talked about last week, they're giving up 1-2 goals per game. Actually, the fewest amount of goals given up ever in a season, since Blackburn in 95, and them still not have really any points at all. So I don't see it happening against Tottenham. I have it 2-0, Tottenham winning. Yeah. I think Crystal Palace is going to have to get their mojo against a team like Ipswich or Leicester or Southampton, but it won't be Tottenham.
Do you think it's going to be Tottenham? Tottenham's in 7th place. They're not nothing. They're not nothing. Just because they have 18 goals, just because they have 3 times as many goals, more than 3 times as many goals as Crystal Palace does this season, doesn't mean... Oh, yeah, it means a lot, actually. It probably means a lot. All right, well...
any given day. Any given Sunday.
It is a Sunday. It is the London Bird Fight. I mean, anything can happen in this one. On to West Ham hosting Manchester United. Another match that will occur in London. It has nothing to do with London derbies because Manchester, believe it or not, is in Manchester generally. But this is a West Ham team that is hosting Manchester United. What do you got for this one here?
Yeah, this is the battle of the David Moyeses since he managed both of these sides. And I think that West Ham's going to take it 2-1. Hey. Man U has been wildly inconsistent. West Ham also been pretty inconsistent, but Man U's coming off a short week. They just played on Thursday. Going to get 2 days rest, play on Sunday. I think that's going to start to take a toll on a team like Man U that already is having mental issues and organizational issues. So I think it's 2-1. I think West Ham shocks them and takes the 3 points.
I'm right there with you. 2-1. I think this one will also not only short week but also home field advantage. It does matter a lot in the Premier League, and I think the West Ham folks will carry them through to the victory. Making up for some, they had a good result against Ipswich Town, but so have most teams that have played Ipswich Town this season. So they'll want to definitely improve over 15th. That's not where West Ham wanted themselves to be at the beginning of this season, and they need to start making moves now to keep everybody happy, to keep them hammers happy. And then to the highlight of the weekend, I would say. I think it's undisputably the highlight of the weekend. Arsenal hosts Liverpool. Now, it is the highlight of the weekend, but as is often the case with these sorts of games, with these top table teams, they come at it very cautiously. It doesn't always make for the best matches. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this one. Liverpool will probably want to push things, but they've been playing more of a defensive style recently, and Arsenal is not on the most sure footing currently. They slipped up this past week against Bournemouth, as we talked about. So I think both these teams will be coming at it from not a fireworks perspective, and it ends up being a rather disappointing for both of them 1-1 draw.
Yeah, important note, Arsenal's going to be without arguably 2 of their best center backs. They're not going to have Saliba due to suspension, and it looks like Calafiori is going to be out with an injury. So really that leaves Gabriel as one of their main center backs playing, who has significant time this season. However, it's at the Emirates. Arsenal lost last week, so the pressure is on for them to come in. And I think Liverpool is going to maybe overlook the fact that a couple of injuries maybe will catch them, and they'll start to kind of have the leaky defense try to push. I think it's 2-1 Arsenal. Wow. Arsenal, they know they really have to get 3 points to stay in the title race. So I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
Now, does it also put City on top of the table if that result holds?
It might. I didn't check.
It might. If everything
City,
else
I don't even think they're near the top. I haven't even checked.
Oh, yeah. We're not even aware of what that table looks like right now.
No.
Don't have any clue at all. We'll check it on the table in our breakdown. We'll be technically essentially almost. You can't really do a quarter of the season because it's 38 match days, right? So 9 match,
a fifth of the way.
9 match days is close to 30. 9 times 4 is 36. So we're like
about a fourth.
It's essentially a fourth of the way through. So we'll take a look at the table after this match day. on the other side, and do a little dissection, a little vivisection. Oh boy, wow, really getting gruesome on it. And if you aren't aware, we'll get you a prize of what's going on. Anything else you want to say before we tap out for this preview episode?
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to go undefeated, 10-0 this week.
I mean, we've been doing this for, at this point, a full season, and none of us have really even gotten close to a 10-0.
8-2 was
8
the
and 2
closest
we've got.
I got.
No one's gotten a 9-1 though.
No.
And past match day, we were both below 500 on our picks. We got beat by the favorites last match day in the Premier League.
Tomato.
So, it's going to happen one of these days because most things happen eventually, sort of. Until we figure out whether this happens or not. Why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side. Let me try that again.